Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com. It's time for our weekly live Q&A. It's a big thank you to everyone for joining in live. So we've got a few people here joining in, I can see. We've got Tom, we've also got Dana and BK Dan. So thank you very much for joining in. Also let me know if you can hear me. So this is our weekly live Q&A. So we have Patreon and our YouTube channel members have submitted their questions in advance. You can also join in on the live chat as well if you're a YouTube channel member. You can also use the super chat function. And your support really helps make a massive difference to the YouTube channel, where we're just generally they're not so dependent on advertising and the whole host of issues and stuff there. So big thank you to everyone that is one. So there's also, I've just popped a poll up on the live stream as well, so make sure you do pop your answer in on that one. And I asked you, when do you think the Hulu Disney Plus situation will be resolved? Late 2023, early 2024, late 2024, or 2025. So audio is a little bit up and down, so hopefully that is improving. It might just be my voice. I have been suffering from a cold and a cough, but hopefully gets a little bit better now. Right, okay, so it just could be your TV. There we go. Who knows? Right, so we've got lots of questions here today, so feel free to pop them in. So aim is to be going for somewhere between half an hour and 45 minutes. It might be a little bit shorter if my if my throat starts drying up and stuff. I feel okay, but generally it can kick in as it goes along. Just as a quick note as well, so next week's live Q&A will be as normal. The following week on Easter weekend, there won't be a live stream. That is because it's Easter Sunday, but also I'm going to be in London for Star Wars Celebration, and I can't guarantee what that Wi-Fi is going to be like. So it's just going to, and I'll do a little recap of whatever's been going on that day anyway, if the internet's fast enough. So there won't be one on the Easter weekend, because again, Easter, and I'm going to be at Star Wars Celebration as well. So trying to get all that in is not going to be good. Right. So here we go with some of the questions. Let's start off with the title one. Is one I always like to start with. So Caleb said, "Are we feeling the aftershocks of the Chapek era? It seems like any of his messes weren't felt until Iger took over. I know if Iger did a lot of good or does a lot of good things, we won't feel the effects of it until its successor takes over." So I think that is a key thing here. Is a lot of times with, you can imagine Disney is a massive, massive company, and also let me know in the comments below as well what you are thinking of all that. So I feel the thing is with Disney, it's huge. It takes a long time for the effects of decisions that get made can take months, sometimes half a year to a year to come into impact. Sometimes it's longer than that. So a lot of the changes that got maybe brought in when Chapek was in charge are now in place. The ones that they maybe agreed with are maybe still carrying on. There might be some stuff that gets reversed, and there might just be a way of kind of blaming him for some of the things that they needed to do. So I think there is an aspect of streaming needed to start cutting costs, and I do feel like some of those effects are over from Chapek era. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of weird. This whole situation now, like with Marvel and Star Wars, where they're having to slow it down, the problems with visual effects, and a lot of the blame sometimes gets put on Chapek because he was in charge and he was pushing for streaming and all the rest of it. Iger was still around when a lot of this stuff got greenlit, and he was still some of this stuff got announced like when he was still CEO. So some of this is kind of before him and set it up. There's a very, very interesting way of looking at it. I do think since Iger's come back, there's been a lot more push on making money and making decisions about Disney Plus is still a major importance to them, but they can't just keep spending their way out of a hole. All the big studios are all cutting back. There's definitely things that they're doing that sort of Chapek brought in. One of the big key things I think was the after effects of what Zaslav did, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, with like removing stuff. There was a lot of stuff that was removed just around the same time or before Iger came in, and we saw that coming, and that's not been reversed. We've seen a few little ones coming here and there. We've seen a drastic reduction here, like in the UK, we're getting a drastic reduction in the amount of licensed content. We're really seeing all that seems to come to a halt. They really kind of have slowed that right down, which is not good. Kayla sort of pops in here. I inherited the aftershock of the Chapek era. Kind of reminds me of when Obama inherited the messes from Bush in the first year. Then again, I won't speak further. So, to be honest, I mean, there is that kind of thing of in politics, and it doesn't matter, and it doesn't really matter what side you are on, or what country you're in. There is always a case of there is stuff that company or sort of politicians and stuff will inherit from the previous one, and that happens on both sides. And there's not even being political. It's just, no matter which way you go, each one is going to have to essentially try and deal with the whatever's been brought in, and CEOs are very much in that same thing. So, yeah, I mean, happens all the time here. I'm just watching the budget here in the UK the other day. They were still blaming stuff, and yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of stuff that has been brought in by the Chapek of some of the price cuts, but I think Iger's actually coming in and making a lot bigger ones. We are going to see some bigger moves, but we might not necessarily know them straight away. Right. Okay. So let's carry on with some of the questions. So Mau says, "What do you think of the Flaming Hot being the first Searchlight movie to debut on both Disney Plus and Hulu? And will we see more 20th Century and Searchlight movies be shared this year?" I think this is fantastic. I think this is great on a number of different levels. First off, we need to see more sharing between Hulu and Disney Plus because for a couple of reasons. First off, get it to a bigger audience. If you can put it out on both, it means that film has got a much larger audience, especially on, TV, PG-13 kind of movies. Spread them out a little bit. Get the US audience used to seeing this kind of stuff on Disney Plus in the US. So if whatever they do, they get more used to it. It just makes more sense. It saves them money because they've got content going out everywhere. I think we are going to see more of this moving forward, but there obviously with some things it might be a little bit more tricky than others. And I think with Searchlight, now that we've kind of moved past the whole HBO issue, because like Empire of Lights, Avatar: The Way of Water will be kind of like the last one that will probably have to go to HBO. So there is definitely, I think, a reason, and it makes sense for them to do it. I mean, it makes total sense for them to do it. Let's see here what else we've got. So Connor says Netflix recently, we've got two questions on this one. So Netflix recently renewed its license for Arrested Development. Could it be streaming? It could be streaming exclusively on Netflix internationally soon. I know seasons 1 to 3 are leaving Hulu on the 1st of October. Maud says, why do you think Disney extended the deal with Netflix for Arrested Development and also being exclusive instead of putting it on Disney Plus to improve Disney Plus's awful spring lineup? So, in case you're not aware, Arrested Development, which is one of the last remaining 20th television studio shows that was on Netflix, did get a warning coming up that it would be removed in the middle of the month. It then got brought on to Disney Plus here in the UK around the same time, but it ended up staying on Netflix, and it's done so around the world because they have signed a new deal, according to Vulture. It's a 3-year deal. It will be leaving apparently Hulu at the beginning of October, and it will be exclusive for at least 3 years. Seasons 4 and 5 were like Netflix originals, so that might have played more of a key thing that maybe Netflix didn't want to lose a big show. But also, I think the reason of why they have done it, money, pure money. That's I 100% think that they are looking at this and going, we can make some extra money on this. It's an old show. It's not going to bring a big boost. I don't think they want it on Disney Plus yet because I don't think Disney Plus is at that point where in the US this show would be deemed massively out of place. I also wonder if they are looking at, maybe the Hulu situation is going to take 18 months to 2 years to sort out, then might as well just make a little bit of money on the side. They don't make any money putting it onto Hulu. And also it just feels to me like with this and like the thing with Flaming Hot and the recent decision to share New Girl means that Hulu's days of getting exclusive content seem to be kind of sliding to the side as it becomes less important. But ultimately, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But I don't think it's going to leave internationally. I think seasons 1 to 3 will stay on Disney Plus, like in Australia and in the UK. I don't think it's in Canada. I don't think that's going to affect it. So just looking here at the poll that we put up. So at the minute, 40% of you think that Hulu situation is going to be dealt with by the end of this year. 25% of you think late next year, 19% say early, and 17%. So very much a case of there's a big chunk of you that think it's going to get sorted early. I wouldn't be so surprised if there was an announcement at any given point that was happening. Yeah, so definitely is. Was it Tom says, is it just me or does the Disney logo look like it says Disney? I think it's just your eyes, but I can see why. Kelly says, at least fans aren't blaming Iger for having an upset stomach at the parks like this. I do feel like when Chapek was in charge of the parks, things were just going downhill more and more. And there's a lot of issues that are like the park are dealing with from there. What I see a lot coming up is the like un-Disney-fying of the hotels and stuff at Disney World, where like Beaches and Cream just got like redone and it just looks like just a standard like hotel. Some of the hotel theming and stuff, it all just looks like stuff that just brought from IKEA and it's not like unique. And of course, a lot of that is stuff that's kind of fed over from the Chapek era. Matt says, I hope Home Improvement will be released globally. I think it probably will be. I'm wondering if the UK release has got like pushed back because it's going to tie into everybody else, or maybe it came out a little bit earlier. Tom says, do you think Song of the South will ever be on Disney Plus? And they'll put a disclaimer on it. No, it's never coming out. Ricardo says, with the novelty of Arrested Development, would not leave Netflix for at least another 3 years. Does this mean the first 3 seasons will leave Disney Plus? No. It only got added like last week, so I don't think it's going to affect that one. Kenneth said, can I ask next weekend for your thoughts on night 1 of WrestleMania? Yes, that's fine. That's not going to be a problem. I'll be watching that on Saturday morning. My sister-in-law is getting ready to fly out. She's literally gone up to fly out in the morning, so they're getting ready to go up now. So Tom says, did you hear about the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey sequel, Bambi the Reckoning, and Peter Pan's Neverland and 8 Mile Fields all planned to be a shared universe? I hadn't heard of it. I think I'd been hearing things about it, but a lot of this is going to be shock value. The fact that Honey did well enough that, low budget. This is these are public domain characters now, and this stuff can happen. And I think the novelty of it is going to wear off very, very quickly, I think, with audiences, because if they're not good, it's not going to work. But yeah, it's always fun though, because Disney didn't make any of those characters. I don't know about Bambi, actually, maybe. Tom says, I just started watching Disney animated films. I've never seen a 2D animated film before. So far, I just watched Snow White and Pinocchio, which is much better than the remake. Do you have any recommendations? Ooh. Right. So for me, if you've never watched 2D animation, I mean, that's just quite amazing, really. So my personal favorites, The Jungle Book, that's an amazing film to watch. I'd go with, I really enjoy Robin Hood, but maybe just stick with Jungle Book. If you like those two movies as well, check out Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is live action and animated. Aladdin, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, those are all good ones, because obviously you got the remakes, but the animated ones are a lot better. So I'd do them. I don't know if Big Hero 6 is a new one, if you want something a little bit newer. Don't necessarily go straight back to some of the older ones that are around. There's a lot of different ones and stuff. Yeah, there are some amazing films. I mean, you could just make your way through them all. The ones in the 40s were once you kind of get past Dumbo, there's some kind of weird and random ones while the war was going on that they had to deal with. Peter Pan is great, but yeah. So for me personally, Jungle Book, Robin Hood, Aristocats, and yeah, Aladdin. Let's see what we've got here. So feel free to keep sending in questions. Barbara Charling says, do you think Warner Brothers will sell the streaming service for just HBO for people who don't want Discovery content? No, they're going to be, the HBO is going to have all the Discovery content, and then Discovery Plus is going to not have the HBO thing. The thing is, with the Discovery content, a lot of it is cheap, and I think they want to try and get people into watching it. Ultimately, if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. You don't. It's that kind of thing of, there's a whole host of stuff on different streaming services. You don't have to watch everything. And I think that's a key different thing. But if you've got any movie recommendations, like Kayla just sent in, Aladdin, that's his favorite Disney film, feel free to pop that one in. Let's just check back in on the poll. So at the minute, getting about 40% late this year. Right, some other questions that we've got coming in here. Daniel says, with Flaming Hot debuting on Hulu and Disney Plus in the US at the same time, do you think they're just trying to spread out the costs, or is this to blur the lines for a potential Hulu merger? Both. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's spread the costs around, give Disney Plus some content that, and also I think it's a good thing as well for like US audiences to start getting used to start seeing a little bit more stuff on there as well. Spread it out a bit. Matt says, when do you think we'll get a major update for Disney Plus, before or after Hulu merges? I think right now we're in a stage of, if they're trying to cut costs, doing a massive overlay and all the rest of it, they don't really need to do right now. I know there's lots of problems, little bugs that they could fix, but I'd rather they were working on getting Disney Plus ready for the next stage. Changing the star tap things around a little bit and just getting it ready for whenever they're doing it. Because if they know if their plans are to do it next year, maybe to get the ESPN stuff all lined in, just get this stuff ready for when it needs it. Tom says, do you think Daredevil Born Again will be at least partly set within the blip, as some of the filming pictures that were date saying March 2020? That definitely could be a thing that they're doing. I think I'll be honest, I don't tend to look at images and stuff while they're filming. I don't want to be spoiled. And also, I think sometimes they can set stuff up to kind of send you down a rabbit hole. I think the idea, if they did do it in the blip, then that would allow for them to kind of miss out a load of the characters, like Foggy and Karen. That might be a way of them getting around it. Tim says, how do you think Disney Channel's original movie Prom Pack will go? Depends what you mean by that. In terms of how I think the story's going to be, going by the trailer, I'm imagining they're best friends, and then eventually they're going to end up realize they like each other, and there's obviously a prom. There'll be some awkward moments because it's a teenage thing, and yeah, so I think that's it. I'm not going to lie, I have got zero interest in. I will watch it next week when it comes out, just to give it a look at. But it's not high on my to-do list. It's just not saying a lot to me. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's far in terms of how it will go down. I mean, this one is going out on Disney Channel and Disney thing. I think these movies they have a good audience, and they're relatively cheap for them to make. I just feel it's a bit of a mistake to have this and the second season of Doogie Kamealoha MD going up at the same time with the kind of the same actors. I mean, the fact that they did a prom-packed premiere the other night, and all the Doogie Kamealoha MD cast came along and took some photographs there, but they didn't even get their logo on the back. It wasn't like they set up two walls, one for prom pack, one thing, so they could take their photographs and at least say it was a double premiere. The Doogie ones all just had the prom pack stuff. It's like, man, they really like it. That I think that show's done. I mean, they didn't even get a premiere; they just got like tapped onto another movie. Tim asks, any news on the ad-supported tier coming to Disney Plus Australia? We have heard nothing on these ad tiers for a while. I don't know if they're delaying them. You'd think they'd kind of want to get them up and going a bit quicker. But saying that, I mean, they are signing people up in America, but maybe it's taking a little bit longer than they thought. Babak says there's a rumor that new Star Wars movies will be announced at Star Wars Celebration. Could they be true? What else could be announced? So there is a Lucasfilm panel on a showcase on the Friday. Hopefully, I'll find out tomorrow if I'm in. Because I've put in my selections for the lottery, so hopefully we'll find out if get in. Even if I can get in on the Twin stage or the Galaxy stage, so I can at least watch the presentation and report on it. That's what I'll just, if I can just get in. It's a pain. So that's one thing. So I'm hoping. I'm not sure if they're going to do a movie announcement. I know there's been a lot of speculation, but they have been, unless they're actually like locked in and ready to go and start filming, I think they should stay quiet, because they keep announcing these movies, but until they've actually got something they keep getting cancelled, different writers coming in. Yeah, no, I kind of feel like they maybe shouldn't do it. I think we're going to see some new stuff from Indiana Jones, an Ahsoka trailer. We might not see the Ahsoka trailer maybe till the Saturday because there's an Ahsoka panel. Maybe third season of Bad Batch because they've got a panel on the Monday. Visions is we're gonna get the a panel on the Monday, so I'm hoping we get the trailer maybe on the Monday, on Easter Monday, so that might be when that one comes out. Probably a new trailer for, like I said, Indiana Jones. I'm trying to think what else. Maybe a trailer for Skeleton Crew. That might be another thing. Maybe a first like a sizzle reel for the Acolyte and season 2 of Andor. I don't think we're going to hear a lot more about other stuff because if they're slowing down production, say Skeleton Crew gets pushed back into 2024, and then you're going to get the Acolyte in 2024, and then maybe Andor doesn't come out then maybe till 2025, and another season of Ahsoka and another season of Manda. I don't know. I'm not too sure what's going on there. Let's see here. Ricardo says, you think seasons 4 and 5 of Arrested Development will be added to countries in the rest of the... No, I think it will stay as it is for them. I think that'll be how they stay. Tom says, have you noticed that in Hollywood when they race change characters, like with the Little Mermaid, it always... Yeah, I think that's just nothing much about that one. Ricardo says, do you think the MCU will reboot or half reboot after Secret Wars? I don't necessarily think it's going to get a reboot. I think what we are going to see is a shift in how they look at, maybe they might reset some of the characters, so they set them up like with new actors taking over it, like Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, so they can bring somebody new in. But I also think the MCU needs to in some ways kind of get over the idea that a character or an actor is linked to a character, and we need to start getting used to the idea that they can switch them in, switch them out if they need to. If an actor wants to quit or any other issues or anything like that, or deaths or anything, they can just change the actor. The MCU is too big now for like one actor just to, I'm done with it, or they can't do it anymore, and that's that character gone. We saw with Black Panther, we need that character back on our screens. I think we're going to see maybe a shift away to like the characters are more important than the actors in some ways. Ken said, I saw some Reddit fan of what the future of, I love the idea of 20th Century Searchlight and Hotstar. Not sure why ESPN and Star would also be there, but it's cool since definitely reorganization. I've seen some, we've seen this a lot since they've kind of did it. I wouldn't be at all surprised if ESPN, I don't think it will be a hub anymore. I know they added a load of ESPN documentaries last year. That's all dried up. But whether or not that's to do with Bob Iger's decision of making ESPN a separate company. If there is going to be an ESPN hub, it's going to basically bring in the kind of the ESPN Plus stuff. I think they're not going to get one. I don't know about Hotstar, of whether or not Hotstar will need one. What they could do is put that under Star. I think Star is still going to be one because they're going to have stuff that doesn't fit with under like, where do you put Doctor Who? You're going to need somewhere to put these shows. Where do you put like some of the anime? Where do you put some of the Korean shows? There's some stuff that just doesn't fit into these tabs, and so I think a Star one is a very good tab just to have as a catch-all area. You could put all the Hotstar content in there as well. So I definitely think that's how that one's going to go. Let's see what else we've got here. Babak says, why would Fox buy Hulu when they sold their stake and all their content to Disney Plus? They were trying to merge their companies together. They can't do so anymore. So they've got some money to spend after selling Disney. So they might be able to buy back Hulu for less than them. If they feel like there's a way of them kind of becoming an arms dealer where they have Hulu and they buy stuff from other ones, maybe merge it with Tubi. I think they own Tubi. I think that's right. I don't have Tubi over here. They might be just looking to do so. So they could do stuff. Okay, so Matt says, with the unfortunate news about Jonathan Majors this weekend, do you think they could be a further delay to future MCU projects since his character Kang is such a vital role? I do feel like with this situation right now, it's moving very fast. We have to remember as well, essentially, innocent until proven guilty. We do not know all the facts. The lawyer has stated that he is completely innocent. The thing is, apparently in New York City, it is required. The New York City Police Department is required to make an arrest in these situations, and this is the only reason Mr. Majors was arrested. We expect these charges to be dropped soon. So we've got to wait until the information comes out. Ultimately, we can't decide if how this goes. If it is true, there is going to be a massive problem for Marvel to fix. With variants, at least they can kind of move things around a little bit with actors and stuff. So yeah, it's a very tricky situation, but things are moving around very quickly. And right now, we don't know really what's going on with that one. Daniel says, what are your thoughts on Victoria Olsen's termination from Marvel Studios? Disney said it was due to a breach of contract, where Victoria's attorney says it's because Disney wanted to silence her. Again, two sides to every story. We have to wait and see if they're if they've got all the things of why they've got rid of her. I mean, there's a whole host of other reasons of they are clearing house anyway. They are making thousands of people laying them off. We don't know the true facts. We don't know the true information of what's going on there. And I always feel like there's a little bit on both sides. And that's definitely a thing. If they found that she's in breach of contract, that might be a way of kind of getting around it. Either way, it's not good for anybody. I suspect it will get sorted at some point. Let's see what else we've got here. Let's see what questions we've got. Tom says, I heard they were going to do a Mandoverse crossover movie. They could do. I mean, the Mandoverse already is all kind of crossed over. Ricardo says, with HBO content and sports leaving Disney Plus Hotstar in India, you think there could be a rebranding of the Hotstar brand? Maybe. I mean, the thing is, with them kind of losing all of that content, maybe they could drop the. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's of what that brand is like in India, of how much connection to it, whether or not it just becomes Disney Plus. But yeah, it's very tricky. It's a very tricky one. So Suna says, I think DisneyNOW shouldn't exist. Yeah, DisneyNOW is kind of a leftover of the cable system. And the only thing is with DisneyNOW is it's kind of there for cable subscribers to have access to content from the Disney Channel. I personally would like it to be shut down. I think it's unnecessary to have that system. Cable platforms and stuff. I mean, whether or not they have their own on-demand stuff. But I suspect it's a contract thing that they have to do. Bubba Trolling says, do you think the Disney Plus original movies are unknown to most Disney fans? I think in general, anything that's going straight to streaming is kind of deemed as a straight to video and is not deemed as important. Ken says, Ricardo, yes, I could see the Hotstar being rebranded. It's already a hub on Hulu in the US. It can become the home of South Asian content. Definitely could see that one. Ryan said, I have cancelled my subscription and I may resubscribe to Disney Plus annual after a while. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, especially I definitely feel like if you are in the United States right now, I can see why people are like looking at like their streaming services. Are you watching it? Is Mando enough? If you've got enough shows coming up, if all you're going to be watching is like Mandalorian and the Marvel and the Star Wars stuff, I can see how you might want to hold off a little bit. It was funny. I was talking to my wife this afternoon when we went out for lunch, and I said, if we were in America, my wife would only be watching Hulu. There would be nothing on Disney Plus that she probably would watch, so she wouldn't be subscribed. I'd watch it obviously for Marvel and Star Wars, but for her, everything she watches is on the Star brand. She watches lots of stuff on Star, but there is nothing under the other 5 tabs that she would bother watching. Ricardo says, with the whole Jonathan Major situation, what is the worst scenario if he's proven not guilty? Ultimately, if he is guilty, then he's taken off the project. That's the way I look at it. If he is, he shouldn't. He's just gonna be gone. But we're going to wait and see, and that's the key thing. We've got to wait and see what comes out. We shouldn't just rush straight to making an opinion until we have. Well, not even us. It's the authorities and everyone involved needs to make the decision. Ken says to answer Babak's question, if Fox does want to have a stake in Hulu, it's likely due to it being the current regime being different than the old, and there's a licensing deal with Hulu and Star Plus. Yeah. So Soon said, I think the end of Disney Plus should have a lot more content than it does now. I would hope so by the end of the year. It should do. Kelly said Fox does own Tubi. I remember when Fox advertised next day streaming on both Hulu and Tubi before they listed Hulu, only due to the new licensing deal. Yeah, I think it makes sense to maybe kind of put them together. Tom says, do you think they will take Ice Age and other Blue Sky films and put them on 20th Century Studios tab as well as a Muppets tab and then taking them both off the Disney tab? I don't think they'd have a Muppets tab, but there's not enough content there to warrant that one. I think they would go into the 20th Century Studios tab. They're in the Star tab anyway for us here. Tom says they obviously don't have faith in Peter Pan and Wendy as it's a Disney Plus original. Not necessarily. This film was designed to be a Disney Plus original. It's not about having faith. These films were designed; they were budgeted for that. And this movie would have been planned 3-4 years ago, and it's been they announced it way back in at the Investors Day back in 2020. These films are planned a long time in advance. It's not like they just went I don't know, say like they wouldn't just turn around now and go, oh, Little Mermaid's going to Disney Plus. That would be a change of plan because they didn't have faith in it. But no, this one was always planned to be that way. Daniel says, what is the point of DisneyNOW anymore? They put new episodes there next day, but they're also doing a similar thing with Disney Plus. I think they should shut it down. Ultimately, there's probably a contract in place. They're trying to keep the subscribers happy on cable. The people that are on cable are still making, Disney is still making a lot of money from them. So they have to be given content. But yeah, I personally want it shut down. Final question of the pre-done questions, and it's going to be live for the last few minutes. Matt says we're now seeing more and more non-Marvel and Star Wars shows released as binge drops. Do you think their research could have determined that some of those shows get more views from a binge drop compared to a weekly release? It's interesting that Disney Plus is trying this now, when originally they were pretty adamant about having everything being released weekly to retain subscribers for a longer period. Yes. So we've been seeing a big shift with Disney Plus, with some of the shows like Doogie Kamealoha MD. This next week is dropping all at once. We are getting it with the crossover. We're also getting it with Visions. We're getting it with a lot of shows now where they are going to the binge drop. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to all of this. The thing is with binge dropping as well is, especially with a younger audience, and a lot of these shows are aimed at much younger audiences. They are much more. They have grown up in a world where they get everything as and when they want it. And the viewing figures will be up because they can binge watch the whole lot at once. I think what we might start seeing is we're noticing it a lot here in the UK, and we've been having it for a while, where we get a lot of binge shows, but they're being dropped like weekly, almost like, oh, this week you're getting this show, and next week you're getting that show, and then the week after you're getting this show. And it's almost becoming like you get a show a week is dropped, similar to Netflix. And they are going to be collecting data. They have been running, obviously, Disney Plus for a number of years. They've also got data from Hulu. They're going to work out what works best and what doesn't. The simple truth is as well of rolling out like Doogie Kamealoha MD weekly for 10 weeks or 8 weeks or whichever it is that going to improve the viewership of that last 8th episode because people have done it? But more importantly, are they going to spend as much money advertising it for 8 weeks, or are they going to put all of their efforts into the budget on the first week or maybe the second week and push it while they focus on like Marvel and Star Wars being weekly? The data is very much going to be leading them in this way. I think for their big shows and ones that are going to have a social thing and they're expensive, it makes sense to stretch them out. I think for cheaper shows, especially with like the Disney Channel stuff, they're a lot cheaper to put out. I mean, just yesterday we had Secrets of Sofa Springs season 3 got dropped in the US, and they're doing this binge for. I wish with the Disney Channel stuff that they could get their act together to do either binge drop next day or same day or whatever. Just to have one system for everything, and it comes out globally, rather than this hodgepodge stuff of this show is binge drop, this shop is batch, this one is next day, and the UK doesn't get it for 6 months, but Australia gets it. It's like, just make it simpler. We're 4 years in, and we're still having the same problems that we had like years ago. So it is extremely annoying. Let's see here what other questions we have got. So we'll do this for about another 5 more minutes while my voice still is all right. So Ricardo says, why is Wilfred not available on Disney Plus? In a lot of countries, it's only on Hulu and Star Plus in Latin America. Depends on if they have the rights for it. I don't know what Wilfred is, so I don't know. Tom says, are the Tinkerbell films connected to the two Peter Pan films? Kind of. I think, yeah, they're the same character and they're just in the world. I've seen a couple of the Tinkerbell. They're kind of interconnected. I don't know quite what it is. Tom says, when is American Born Chinese coming out in the UK? Same date. I think it's the same date as in the US. I think it's the 24th off the top of my head of May. Kelly says, DisneyNOW is basically TV Anywhere customers. I know that Hulu Live TV is authenticated for TV Anywhere apps such as ABC, DisneyNOW, ESPN, and FX. In addition, they have live feeds of linear. I think, again, it's all just down to trying to keep linear money dry, coming in while they can. Barbatronic says, do you think Warner Brothers Discovery's new streaming service will be included with a HBO package on TV? No. I think it's going to be you pay, you get it. I think the trouble is this whole trying to retrofit the past into current streaming platforms and stuff is very tricky. Okay, so TV Anywhere apps definitely benefit from Hulu Live TV customers, since Hulu Live TV only works in your home location ISP, and if you're traveling with this, you can watch live TV through the US television system is such a weird way of how it works, in how it all interconnects and stuff. Tom says, ITVX are now airing a new series every week, 52 weeks a year. So far, I've not watched any single I do not understand why ITVX is a thing. It is, I don't quite get, I would never pay for it. I don't see that's true, that one. Matt says, when will the Valentine's Doug's Day special come to Disney Plus? No idea when that was coming. That one just kind of has gone into ether. I don't think it necessarily was a Valentine's Day one. It was just a special. Maybe there were some issues there that maybe they want to spend a bit more time on. Who knows? Ricardo says, is it true that Home Improvement release on Disney Plus will be delayed? It was stated for April the 19th. How much longer could we wait? Yes, Disney contacted me and said that it has been delayed to be confirmed. They did put up a social media post saying it's coming later this year, and that's it. How much longer could we wait? Don't know. Could be a day, could be weeks, could be months. We're just going to have to wait and see. All right. On that note, guys, thank you so much for taking part in this week's live Q&A. I'll be back, as I said, next week. So keep a lookout for the post in the community feed on YouTube and on Patreon. That'll be going up in the middle of the week. And I said there will not be a live stream or a Q&A on Easter Sunday because it's Easter Sunday. And also I'm going to be at Star Wars Celebration. But again, thank you so much for all of your questions. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Latest.